Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Jack Hagel. State lawmakers are returning to Raleigh on Monday to begin the process of voting on newly proposed congressional districts. The effort is being led by Republicans who lead North Carolina's legislative chambers. They want to adjust the maps in a way that favors the GOP to help them protect their majority in the U.S. House. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran has been covering the story, and he joins us now to break it all down. And for those of you who are watching this on our YouTube channel, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that you're up to speed on the latest. One other note, we're recording this on Friday, October 17th, so for the latest updates on this story, if there are developments, check out the NC Capital section of WRAL.com. Will, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Will, Republican lawmakers issued a new congressional map on Thursday, and if it's approved, what would North Carolina's congressional district look like?
Well, we would go from currently a 10-4 split in favor of Republicans to an 11-3. We have 14 seats in the U.S. House, and they're looking to pick up one extra seat. Obviously, they already have a large advantage, but they're hoping to make this even larger.
So this is essentially designed, as I understand it, to hurt Democratic Congressman Don Davis's chances of re-election, right? Why are they targeting that district, and what does he have to say about it?
Correct. Don Davis represents kind of the far northeastern corner of the state, a lot of rural counties up in that area. He's a Democrat. He is also the only person in a competitive district anywhere in the state. Basically, every other seat is either already safe for Republicans or safe for Democrats. So that's really why they're looking at him as the one that you actually can change. And they're swapping some territory between him and Representative Greg Murphy, who has basically the rest of eastern North Carolina, and turning Murphy's district from something that had been deep red to just fairly red. And that will be what they hope can turn this into a pretty much a guaranteed to win 11 of our 14 seats for Republicans in Congress.
Now, do we know who might run in these new districts? Is Davis going to suddenly run in a district that isn't where he lives?
Well, this suddenly got a whole lot more attractive for Republicans to jump into. And we already know that the mayor of Rocky Mount, Cindy Robertson, has been talking about running. State Senator Bobby Hanig is going to run in this race. There's a Lenoir County Commissioner named Eric Rouse who's also thrown his name into the ring. So we could see the Republican field get even more crowded now that this isn't a competitive district anymore. It looks a whole lot more likely that whoever wins that GOP primary is probably going to have a pretty good shot in the general election too. The big question, is does Don Davis even try to run again based on this new map, or does he bow out? And that's what we saw the last time they drew the maps back in the ancient history of 2024. When we got new maps, they did the same thing to a bunch of other Democrats, kind of drew them out of their districts, and none of them ended up, being the sacrificial lamb who, kind of knew they were going to lose, but, ran anyways. They all went on to new things in their lives. And so that's the decision that Don Davis has to do now. He's a moderate Democrat and was actually able to win a Trump-supporting district in his current district, but this new map would just make it much, much more conservative than his current one.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about why Republicans want to change congressional districts and what happens next. Stick around. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL state government reporter Will Doran about Republican efforts to change North Carolina's congressional districts. Will, it wasn't too long ago that North Carolina had an evenly split delegation in Congress, 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans. How did our congressional districts come to favor Republicans recently?
Well, it all goes back to the state Supreme Court, actually. Back in the 2020 and then 2022 elections, Republicans swept every single judicial race in the state. And so they flipped control of the state Supreme Court. And what that allowed that new Republican majority to do was to reverse precedent and say that gerrymandering is okay now. And so in 2022, back when Democrats still controlled the court had ordered that we needed fair maps, essentially. And so they came up with this map that was a 7-7 split of our 14 seats. Each party won 7. But then Republicans came in and said, no, the courts really shouldn't have any say over gerrymandering. It needs to just be up to the legislature. Essentially, whatever the legislature wants to do, they can do. And so Republicans came in, took advantage of that, and turned that 7-7 map into one that had, as we've talked about, 10 safe Republican seats, had 3 safe Democratic seats, and then the one toss-up that Don Davis won in 2024. But now they're looking at it, and they don't think that that competitive seat needs to be competitive anymore, and that they can just turn that into another safe Republican seat.
There's a bigger reason, though, why Republicans are trying to change these districts now, right?
Yes, it's because President Donald Trump has asked them to. And we've seen this in plenty of states across the country. I mean, Trump is really calling on all Republican states to just further gerrymander their maps. Ahead of the 2026 midterms, Republicans currently control the U.S. House by only a very, very narrow majority. You need 218 seats to have a majority in the House, and they have 219. And so typically in midterms, the party that's in charge doesn't do well, and polls have kind of projected that Democrats were likely to take back control of the House in 2026, and Trump knows that. So he's been pushing Republican states like North Carolina to do whatever they can to redraw their maps, to take out Democrats, to, help Republicans keep control in next year's midterm elections. And then, you have other states, Democratic states like Maryland and California, maybe Illinois, who have been fighting back and saying that, well, if you guys are going to do this, we're going to do it too. So now really you just have kind of both sides engaging in these gerrymandering wars nationally. And, here in North Carolina, they think they can add 1 seat to that on top of, as I mentioned, all of the other seats that they already got for their party back in 2024.
So what happens when lawmakers return? Can you walk us through that process, the legislative process?
Sure. Well, Monday morning, it's going to kick off, and there's going to be, the redistricting committees will meet, and they'll, come up with the rules for the process and, formally roll out the maps. And then they will pass them through committee. They could take some amendments, maybe. They've already put out the map. It seems pretty clear that they have the map they want. If they, hear from folks over the weekend or during that committee on Monday who want to make some changes, they might make a few tweaks there, but I would not imagine that any major changes are going to happen. And then the voting will start, and we should probably see these become law midweek, I would guess.
And what happens next? Does Governor Stein veto him? I don't think he can, right? Correct.
No, the North Carolina Constitution actually bans the governor from being allowed to veto anything related to redistricting. And that was something that the Democrats did back when they were in charge, and I think they are coming to regret that now. But yeah, really the only option would be lawsuits. And we know that lawsuits are coming. We already heard from a group led by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, who has sued North Carolina over gerrymandering before. And they put out a statement essentially saying that if you pass these maps, you're going to get sued again.
Going to be a very interesting week and a very busy week, I'm sure. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
That's WRAL State Government reporter Will Doran. For his breakdown of the latest redistricting effort, go to the NC Capital section of WRAL.com. I'm Jack Hagel. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.